welcome. You're in the right place at the right time. It is Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I'm glad you're here with us today because we're going to have a very informative show. In the green room, we have my guest. He is sitting there chomping at the bit, waiting to get on the air to give us all this wonderful information that I'm looking forward to sharing with you all on today. So, without further ado, let me get into my advertisement. I want to give a shout out to all of our spiritual leaders that are on the front line helping us navigate through this whole world of craziness that's going on. Without our spiritual leaders, we might not have an ear to hear or an eye to see what's going on. And I definitely like to give a shout out to my spiritual leader and mentor, Dr. Hunt. He has been with me 30 plus years. And out of those 30 plus years, he has been helping me navigate. Now, I got to give you a little backstory now. Dealing with me 30 plus years ain't no easy job. So he's been hanging in there with me all of this time, helping me navigate through all of the things that I have been dealing with. And he has been right there by my side. So if you have a spiritual leader, pray for him, keep him lifted up, because this is not an easy time right now. And I tell you, it's very difficult to understand what God is doing. So you definitely need somebody to be able to communicate so they can tell you what's going on. Okay. So that being said, I want to encourage everyone to go over to my website, ask-dr-ron.com. And when you get over there, I want you to check out all of my advertisers. There are quite a few listed here: RRJ Webb, Sir Synergy, Port Again Sam, and Prince Hunter Financial Group. Now, the reason why these are highlighted, because these are people that work closely with me to make things happen and to keep us afloat over here. And I need you guys to support them. If you go over to the website and click on any of the banners, they'll take you to their website and you'll be able to see exactly what they do. Sir Synergy, you definitely want to talk to him. If you're paying an energy bill and you're looking for ways to save on energy, reach out to them. They will come out and talk to you and help you navigate how to successfully save energy in your home or business. Port Again Sam, I definitely got to highlight him. He brings in some of the best wines and spirits from all over the world. I was just with Sam yesterday, and he's got a wonderful inventory of cognacs and wines. I tell you, click on the link, go over to his website, set up a wine tasting, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Check it out, okay? Reach out to him and say, hey, I need to come in there and check out what you got. And last but not least, Prince Hunter Financial Group. If you are interested in learning on how to do Forex, stock market trading, he is offering four free classes to help you begin to navigate through the world of the stock market or Forex market. So reach out to him, say you want your 4 free classes, and see where it goes from there. You might have another career that you can start up and be like the real money people, as they say, and get in the game. Okay, get out there in the game and see what he can teach you about these types of things. 4 free classes, you can't beat that. Shout out to Donald Green all the way in Arizona. Thanks for tuning in. I see him on the comment section there. And now I'm so excited to bring to you guys for the very first time on the show, Mr. Eric Slaughter. Now, Mr. Eric Slaughter is a plethora of information dealing with insurance, how to navigate. different government agencies. I met him through a very close friend of mine, and we're going to give him a shameless plug right now, Mr. Otis Gilmore. I go all the way back to the 70s with Mr. Gilmore, and he has never ever told me anything wrong. He's another person in the insurance industry, but he deals with risk management. So he referred me to Mr. Slaughter, and I was like, man, I gotta have you on my show. And he didn't even trade words with me. He said, when, what day, what time, and look, he showed up. So I'm so glad to have him here and welcome him to the show for the first time, hopefully not the last, for the first time, Mr. Eric Slaughter. Welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, Dr. Ron. I really, really do. And anytime I can share the information that I have with the public, I'm happy to do so. Happy to
Well,
do
I'm
so.
glad to have you. You know, he's got a catchphrase, you all, that he has given to me at least 2 or 3 times since I've been communicating with him. And he and I have had some, very long conversations, probably that he didn't think were going to be as long as they were, but, 30, 40 hour, minute later, hour, like, oh man, I gotta go. And I'm like, well, go, and he would be like, if you don't lie to the people up front, you ain't got to worry about it. Am I saying it right? Did I?
You are absolutely saying it right. I'm originally from Arkansas, and my grandmother had a thousand different sayings. And you don't think about it at the time, but as you grow up, you reflect back, and you remember those
Yeah,
things. It's kind of like a kid riding in the back seat, and your mom or dad turn around while driving 80 miles an hour and say, "Don't make me come back there and spank your butt."
yeah.
So because they would
Yeah,
do
see,
it, driving
your
80.
parents were nice. They would threaten you. I didn't have that warning. My mom would reach around and just smack you. And then say, and then tell you to shut up while you back there crying.
Crying. Yeah, I don't want my neighbors to hear you crying. You better keep your mouth shut. And see, this is back during the day. I mean, I know they call it child abuse
Right,
now, but I mean, it was switches,
right,
extension cords, whatever
right.
whatever they could find, they could get their
Yeah,
hands on. That's what we
yeah,
got
all
hit with.
types of furniture, lamps, tables, chairs.
Oh,
Couches.
absolutely,
It's so funny. Don't make me
absolutely.
kill you. That was a real thing back then.
Hey, it was often mom would say, "I brought you in
I'll
this
take
world.
you
I'll
out.
take you out."
Yeah, yeah,
And she was not joking.
yeah.
She was dead serious. And so, if that's what it takes for kids now to be terrified of mom and dad,
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that
Yeah,
because it keeps them out of the penal system. It keeps them on the right
yeah,
path. And if you're a bad kid, you're going to be a bad kid
yeah,
anyway. So
yeah. It's
that doesn't matter.
respect,
That's exactly
and
what it is.
now it's unfortunate that young people nowadays, and in Chicago, and I'm gonna just share this, in Chicago this weekend, they had 400 young people at the Millennium Park Bean, as they call it. That's a tourist attraction. People come here. It's an art exhibit, and they hang
I
out.
saw that.
And they have 400 young people at the Bean acting a fool this weekend. It was 80 degrees on Saturday. The
Hmm.
police say, "Oh, we're ready for it," because it's
Yeah.
summertime
Okay.
coming, and they arrested nothing but juveniles. So the first question that popped in my mind was like, where are these 400 parents?
Well, it should be 800 parents, but we know the real
Right.
deal.
Look, we could settle for half of them. If one out of the
Give me a
two,
quarter of them.
right, one out of the two, out of those 400 young people that shouldn't have been out off the block, let alone downtown, acting a doggone fool, it makes you raise the question like, wow.
Well, you got to think about this too. I mean, with all this technology, and let's be realistic. What are these kids using? Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, because you can't get that many kids together on a phone call because
Exactly.
kids nowadays they're at the last second in information.
Yes.
So at the last second, they're tweeting or whatever else each other. let's all meet downtown at the Bean at 10:30 at night, and we're going to raise hell, and let's just see what happens. And you get enough of them together, birds of a feather, right?
Yeah.
Something negative is
And which
typically
led to
going
the
to happen.
catastrophe that we had downtown this weekend. But I still say, you know, I mean, even if you went with 200 parents should have been involved with their kids enough to say, no, you ain't going down there.
Well, absolutely. But, let's have a real conversation. How many parents are afraid of their kids?
Well, come on now.
Think
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah,
You got some kids. I mean, let's think about, and I do a lot of health stuff, as you know, but let's think about the growth hormones in the food and that whole genre. And you've got some 15-year-old boys, 6'1" and 250 pounds with a full grown beard.
right.
So, if they pull up next to you, you don't know if that's a grown man or a 15-year-old.
Exactly.
And as a man, you're going to treat him as a
Yeah,
man
that's right.
until you find out.
Otherwise,
So
right.
this is some of the things that are going on. And when you look at dad or mom that's working all day, you get home, you're tired, you need to rest. You're 50 years old or 49 or whatever the case may be. You figure your son at 15 is taken care of, he's okay. And the next thing you know, he's downtown jumping on cars, breaking out windows and everything
And now you
else.
got to go get them out of
But
jail.
and now you got to go get him out of jail.
Yeah,
But what I don't like hearing is my son, my daughter was so sweet and they're straight A students. Well, you know what? If they're all that, they're at the house in a book and doing something productive. They're not out there doing those types of things.
exactly.
So, I sorry to say, but I kind of call BS on that one all day
Yeah,
long. We know our
yeah,
children and we know what they're
yep.
capable of and we know their character.
And look,
And that's
and
one of the
yeah, and
things
that's a
that I always
terrible
talk about.
situation. Terrible situation,
Absolutely.
But that's not the nature of this show, and we ain't gonna go down that road too far. Okay, I just wanted to bring that up, because it was such an incident that just happened this weekend. And if you are a parent, please get involved, take responsibility for the child that you fed, housed, and raised to a certain extent, and try and keep them, closer to home and not allow them to get involved because I'm sure you still got some control over them. Not allow them to be the responsibility of the police department to try and keep them under control while chaos is going on to that magnitude. 400 young
Wow.
people, man. That's not a small crowd. That's a
No.
serious crowd. But one of your areas of expertise, which caused us to come together, was the fact that, I'm getting a little older this year. By the grace of God, I think I'm about to turn 65, and I was
Great.
experienced, the thirst for knowledge. And I won't be 65 until August, but yet I started getting a lot of information coming my way. Everybody started marketing me, sending me information. Now I don't know who's good, I don't know who's bad, and I had some questions and some concerns, which I need to know, what am I about to get myself into? So I made the phone call. I called my brother, my friend, long time, oldest, and he said, "You know who to talk to? Talk to Eric Slaughter." And I was like, "Okay," and he gave me the number, and I called you up, and right away you started breaking things down, making it simplistic for me to understand. Now, I ain't nobody's dummy, but you made it so simple that, you know, combined with what I already knew and what was, about to happen for me, you made it real easy for me to understand what was about to happen and when it was going to happen and what was plan A, plan B, plan C. So let's just say, using myself as the example, I've got several months before my birthday. Tell me what to do, bro. Tell me, help me out. What I got to do?
Absolutely. Well, let me start with a little bit of background so that people have an idea that this is not just a guy coming out of the blue. My background is in corporate and international finance. So, for 25 years, that's what I did. I flew around the country teaching algorithms and transfer pricing and federal funds indexes. But I was making a lot of other folks hundreds of millions of dollars. So I wanted to say, what can I do the rest of my life that I don't have to charge my clients for, that I can help anyone in the country? And the thing that stood out was Medicare. And, when my mom turned 65, a true story here, she worked for the university, and she said, "Can you help me out with this?" And I said, "What are you talking about, Mom?" She said, "Well, I get all this Medicare stuff that comes to me, and I don't know from head to tails." And she knows that I love pork chops and things of that nature. So she said, "Why don't you come over Sunday, and I'll make you some dinner, and I'll make you some pork chops." I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll be right there." So I come over, and my mom lives alone, and there's 5 cars in the driveway. And I'm sitting here, and I pull up, and I'm like, well, Dad's been gone a while, and but who are these 5? Is this an intervention or something that's going on? So I nervously go up to the front door, and I got a key, so I go on in, and there's 5 professors sitting at the desk, sitting in the kitchen with her. She's like, "Oh, well, these are my friends from work." And again, university system. She worked for the Chicago University medical system, and the professors were there. And I said, "How you doing, ladies?" She said, "Well, your mother said that you know everything about Medicare, and you're gonna tell us because we don't know what we're doing. We got multiple PhDs, and we can't figure this stuff
Right.
out." So I said, "Okay, let me see what you got." So here's the deal when it comes to Medicare. Number one, if you have paid into the Medicare system, that is 40 credits. That's working 10 years paying into this Medicare system. You are granted Medicare Part A as an apple at no cost. A lot of folks don't understand that, but one of the issues is that if you've not paid into the system, you have to pay for it. And if you have not paid anything into the system, today's dollars, it's actually $499 per month just for Medicare Part A.
Wow.
And we all take it for granted because we use the word free. We don't pay for it. It's no cost. That's true. But if you have anything less than 36 hours or 36 credits, rather, there is a prorated portion that you have to pay for. So that being said, that's for your hospitalization. So collectively, most of us will get Medicare Part A at no cost. Then comes Medicare Part B, and that's changing a little bit, by the way. A year and a half ago, it was you have to select Medicare Part B, as in boy. And so that you're aware, Medicare Part B pays for your ancillaries, your doctor's visits, the casts, the wheelchairs, the wheelchair ramps, or if you're up late at night, you see the scooter commercials and walk-in bathtub commercials. That's what Medicare Part B pays for. So now you have to elect to take Medicare Part B, or the latest realm of that is that it automatically comes to you. And if you don't want it, you check the box that you don't want it. Now, there's a catch to that, because if you do want it, you're going to pay. Typically, it comes out of your Social Security check if you're receiving Social Security. Currently, it costs $170.10. That's what's going to come out of your Social Security check automatically. If you don't get Social Security, you're going to write a check for it. And typically, that check is going to be for a 3-month period in advance. So be aware of that. I always suggest to clients, let it come out of your Social Security check, because guess what? Out of sight, out of mind. Whatever shows up in your bank account, spend it, and you're okay. And then there is the confusion. So those two pieces, Part A and Part B, is what's considered original Medicare. That is just the red, white, and blue card and nothing else. Sadly, about 64%, 65% of the country only has Medicare Part A and B and nothing else. So what does that really tell you? Is that you're going to have some debt if you actually go into the hospital. So most people are sitting there with their fingers crossed, hoping that nothing happens. And when I talk to predominantly brown people, If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I ain't going to the hospital because ain't nothing wrong. Well, my back hurts just a little bit. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a fear for black and brown men of going into the
Yeah.
hospital. And this is fear at a certain age group.
Mm-hmm.
The younger ones, no issue. But I deal with this all the time. So the first point that I'll make is men, please go get your prostate checked.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get on the soapbox, but it
Yes.
is 100% preventable. And we are afraid to go and have someone check us out. It's not like it used to be. And I look at women and I look at their husbands and I say, guys, ladies get turned upside down and backwards, and we're afraid to go have our prostate checked. Really?
Well,
Really? So please,
can I
let's get
jump
that
in
done.
right there for a second? I just
Absolutely.
recently, within the last couple of months, went to go see my doctor that would normally, stick their finger up their derriere, but they don't
Hmm.
do that anymore.
They don't do that
Okay,
anymore.
so
Nope, it's a blood
let's
test.
yeah, it's a blood test, and
And so I think this is what guys
yeah,
are afraid of.
exactly.
Somebody probing them. You
Exactly.
know,
So I'm glad you mentioned that to the point where we can address that. It's a blood test. Go get the blood test. And if there's any
so simple.
concerns, then they'll follow up with you. But then think about it. For those guys that got issues,
Hmm.
most of the time, if you got a female doctor, she's going to want to examine you.
That's right.
That's her job. Check you out.
That's right.
So what man don't like pulling his pants down in front of a female doctor?
I got a female doctor, and I
Look,
tell you
me
what,
too.
she's absolutely gorgeous. I tell her all the time, I would marry you if something happened. So be ready.
Yes. I was like, yes. And I was kind of like proud of myself because she said, everything looks good. And I just took it the wrong way.
Well, that's what we're supposed to do.
But yeah, no, but yes, we're laughing and joking and teasing about it. But please take these recommendations seriously. A
Absolutely.
blood draw, and then do it annually once a year. And
Absolutely.
then See, what you don't know can kill you.
And that's our issue as a group. That is
Yes,
absolutely our issue.
yes,
Same thing with the colorectal cancer screening.
yes,
It's a blood test to begin with,
yes.
and if they notice something, then you can move
Right,
forward. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, I have over 3,000 just Medicare clients, and we're talking probably an average age of about 74, 75 years old. We have this stigma about, especially brown men, about those two
right,
items. And guys, it's a blood test.
right.
And if you let it go too far, it's gone too far.
Exactly.
And typically it can be 100% preventable. So I just wanted to mention that while I was in the middle of this.
Yes.
Didn't mean to take
No,
away.
no, no, definitely.
Uh,
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah,
no, no, that's
yeah,
fine. So the next thing, once you are approximately 6 months from turning 65, you are now going to get bombarded with mail, phone calls, emails, everything under the sun to try to get you over to an insurance policy.
right,
And there are some really good ones out there right now. It really is. And I'll be happy to clear some of that up a little bit later if the question comes up. But uh, you don't know who to trust. And a lot of folks, we think we're smarter than we are, and we figure, I can just go online. I don't want anybody to get in my business. That's a big mistake that we have. We don't want anybody to know. And I can say that for family members as well, because a sister or a brother that is of the same age, it's amazing to me that health wise, we don't know what's going on with our immediate
yep,
family. And it can be detrimental to our health. So, again, I'm originally from Arkansas, and our family grew up not talking about health
right,
issues. We just knew somebody died of something.
right,
And then 3 years later, somebody else died of the same thing, but we never talked to each other. So, again, please talk to each other. So, once you start looking into this, there's really two options that you can take, or theoretically three. You can stay where you are and do absolutely nothing. But be aware that there are copays and co-insurances that if you actually end up in the hospital, I don't know if you want to cash that check or put it on layaway, but it's coming and it's coming due and they want their money. And this is why people will then go out and get either a Medicare supplement, and here's a play on words. They'll get a Medicare supplement. And the word supplement means, in the insurance business, an insurance policy. That is your plan G, your plan N, your plan F. Those are plans. Medicare has parts versus plans. So there's a distinction. And like a Medicare supplement policy, you pay for it monthly. It's not a medical policy, so therefore you have to get what's called Part D as in David, which is a prescription drug plan, and you're paying two different items every single month. And if that's what you want to do, that's perfectly fine. And a lot of people look at that and they think, well, I pay $300 a month collectively, and whatever happens to me, I don't really have any bills, so I don't pay for anything. That's your first mistake. You are paying for something. And you really have to look at yourself and say, how often do I actually go into the doctor? How often do I actually go to the hospital? Because if you're spending on average $300 a month, whether you go to the doctor or not, and all you do for the next 3 or 4 years is get an annual checkup and a flu shot, take 300 times 12 times those many years. And that's what you're spending, whether you go to the doctor or not. So that's option number 2, if you will. And then the third option is what's called a Medicare Advantage plan. And depending on what part of the country you live in, they either call it Medicare Advantage or Medicare Part C. Part C being a part of Medicare. There are 4 parts to Medicare. A and B you have on your red, white, and blue card. Your Part D as in David, which is your prescription drug plan. And then Part C, which is actually a pass-through to insurance companies. So all of your major insurance companies, most of them have contracts with Medicare, and it's actually a part of Medicare. They just administer the plan on their behalf. And the way that works, because I know you see Jimmy Walker on TV, you see Joe Namath on TV, you see all these people talking about free this and free that and all these benefits. The way that it really works is it depends on where you live in the country, it depends on what state you live in, and it depends on what zip code you actually live in for these additional plans. And you can have everything from an HMO to a PPO. So in many states, especially in the southern states, there's what's called special needs plans. These are plans for people that have, they call them dual eligibility. These are for folks that have Medicare and Medicaid. So the television commercials that you guys are seeing, we are really ticked off about them, to be honest with you, because they're extremely misleading. Misleading to the point that they're focusing on all of the extra benefits that a dual eligible person has, and the majority of us can't get those. But that's what you see on television. You pick up the phone and you get redirected into something else. Mm-hmm. So be very, very careful before you pick up the phone and do that. But again, those are the 4 pieces of Medicare, and most of your Medicare Advantage plans are encompassing. They're called managed care plans, and they really will take care of you. So you really want to look at your pocket. You want to look at your medications and what they cost when you pick them up, and you want to look at your service. If you are stuck with a certain amount of doctors or hospitals and you want the freedom to go elsewhere, look around. And I can honestly say a broker will give you the ability to source multiple different companies versus someone that works for a Humana or someone that works for Cigna HealthSpring or someone that works for a Blue Cross. They're going to only talk to you about their plans and not necessarily what's best for you. So the difference, again, between using an agent for a company and a broker for you is you really want to concentrate on what's best for you and not what's best for them. And again, I don't charge a dime for all the things that I do on purpose. And that's because I really look out for the best benefit of my clients. And we can dive into whatever piece you want to get into after this.
Now, first of all, I want to say we are heavily marketed, people of color, African Americans, blacks, brown, whatever color you want to go by today. We are heavily targeted and marketed because we don't take the time to understand some of the things that you just said, about the four
Correct.
parts to Medicare, and then some of the other things that can be added on, whether they're private entities or government entities or things of that nature. So thank you for bringing that part down. Let me give a shout out right quick to my sister, Chandra Gore, down in Florida. She says she loves this. So she's also a broadcaster. And I know she knows I struggle hard to try and bring information to people that they can use, not just, gossip. So she knows where I'm at. And she does the same thing on her show. She brings good information out as well. Now, at this point, I want to ask the question because we heard a whole big hoopla about the Obamacare scenario.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, everybody got in an uproar like, you can't tell us what to do about having insurance, this, that. They had people on the left and on the right upset.
I, I heard it all.
Yeah,
Trust me.
oh, so now I got to have insurance. I ain't never had to have insurance before, but now I got to have insurance. So, could you help us understand what the agenda was with Obamacare and what's left of it now? Because I know they didn't kind of, bastardized it a little bit, and they chopped it up and they've, supposedly lean and mean or whatever they want to call it, but they've abused it. The
Absolutely.
government I'm talking about. So please.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna try to break this down where it's not at a 30,000 foot level, but it's pretty complicated. But I want you guys to understand it in regular street English, if you will. Uh, Number one, I want to correct you, Ron, and that is I see you smiling, and that is we have I'm going to say bastardized the name a little
Okay.
bit. It is actually the Affordable Care
Okay.
Act. And the slang term, and again, I operate in 18 states, but the slang term is the Obamacare. Nobody really knows what Obamacare is, and the reason that term took off is because yes, President Obama was attached to it. I know him personally. I know him well, but he was attached to it, and it gave an outlet for you know, and I'm just going to try to not to be too political, but it gave a opportunity for Republicans to say it's his thing and it'll never work. So they tried to, as you say, bastardize it and say he's forcing you to do this. That's the Obamacare
Right.
thing, and that's not what you want. In actuality, why is it? And I'll pose this to everyone that's listening and watching, to just kind of think about it. Why is it that in back in '67, I believe is when it was, that the rest of the world, the free world, went to a nationalized healthcare system, and the only country that didn't was the United States?
Ooh, ooh,
Why?
ooh, ooh. I
And
know, I know, I know.
go for it.
First of all, it's so much money in healthcare that there's been millions and millions of dollars made by private entities, medical businesses, and companies that they did not want to make it a nationalized because then that would stop some of their cash flow that would be coming into them. Places like
100% correct.
Canada, France, Germany, I mean, even Cuba, and that's supposed to be a small little country off the coast of Florida. They've got
Hmm.
totally free health care, totally free. Even if you're a
That's
tourist,
correct.
if you go to the Bahamas, and you get stung by a wasp, you can go down to the local office and they're gonna give you medicine to fix you free. Don't ask me how I know that, but
A little birdie told you. It's amazing. We all have an Achilles heel. I don't smoke, I don't drink, but my Achilles heel is traveling around the world. So far, I've been to 93 countries, and I'm trying to get to that 125 as quickly as I can. But here's what's interesting: when I go to some of these third world countries, guess what they have? Totally free healthcare. About 5 years ago, I was in Sri Lanka. It used to be called Ceylon. It's a little island off the coast of India. Um, and again, free healthcare. So it is amazing